how this debt profile is going to affect governance. Speak to us from that perspective.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians. The first thing that comes to anybody's mind when it comes to issue of debt, and especially when it comes to issue of rising in the depth of an economy, is that that economy is bad. I want to say it loud and clear. Public debt is part of the governance of any country in the world. Public debt is one of the sources of revenue to the government. It may not be the best, but people look at taxation as the best source of revenue to the government to finance whatever the project in which they have in any economy. But there is also cost to the taxation. The taxpayers are going to pay, and the burden of that taxation is going to be felt by taxpayers. Simultaneously, public debt is also going to be borne by one or two people, which is you and I. But I want it to be very clear. The fact that the debt of an economy is rising does not make that economy to be a bad economy, because it is part and parcel of financing option of any economy in the world. Yes, it is seen here that 40 something plus, 46.25 trillion. Yes, I want to say it loud and clear. Without this public debt, the economy may not go. But I want to say it's not going to affect the incoming, the president-elect in one way or the other. If you compare the depth of Nigerian economy in terms of dollar, we're talking about 103.11 billion, in terms of dollars. But if you compare with the US is one of the highest, number 12 in the world, that's involved in debt too, and the economy is going fine. If you look at it in the way, we have seen in Lagos, 807 billion in terms of public debt. But if you compare it with other countries in the world, the economy of Lagos is still getting better. But the only thing that is there is this: we need to improve on the governance and where we use the public debt into, in terms of productive debt. But one of the only things that affect the African countries is that we got this debt. They are productive debt. But we don't use them for productive activities. And that is the fear. But I want to say it, that public debt comprises of two: the external debt and the domestic debt. Mm-hmm. The two come together and make public debt. If you look at Nigerian economy, if you look at the percentage of domestic debt compared to that of external debt, we're talking about 59 point something to 41 points. And implication is that we have more debt at home, which makes us relevant in the world, because it will have been a worse thing if we have the external debt more than the domestic debt. If government is borrowing within, it's still borrowing from itself. It's still borrowing from itself. The interest that the government is going to pay is still going to be paid within. The higher is going to be paid inside rather than that of external debt. But I want people to know one thing. The fact that the debt is rising does not make that economy a bad economy.
All right. Let me ask this, because the issue of this debt, it seems, if you are not an economist or in the financial space, the feeling it creates in the minds of an average Nigerian, it's more of a negative feeling the moment national debts or what the public debt is mentioned. Now, speak to us, debt versus surplus. We recall that in the early years of this republic, the former Minister of Finance, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, under Obasanjo, they went around the world ensuring that Nigeria debt is forgiven, and it was slashed, and then we started from square one. If debt, public debt, there's nothing wrong with it, why were they going around ensuring that the public debt should be cancelled so that Nigeria can have space or have some breathing space to carry out some developmental projects?
Thank you very much. You are referring to the time of Obasanjo,
Yes.
when $18 billion were forgiven by the Paris Club.
Yeah.
Debt forgiveness is one of the modes of payments.
How so?
Yes. If a debt is forgiven, you have paid. Debt cancellation is one of the modes of payments.
Clarify this for us.
I will. Debt for debt is a mode of payment.
Okay.
And other means of payment. The implication is that, yes, if we are indebted to some countries in the world and our economy is not fast growing, for it not to affect the economy and the citizen of that economy, then we can now go to the world. That, yes, forgive this debt, so that instead of paying this huge amount of interest and the principal amount of the money, then this money can now be used to develop our economy. It was very unfortunate that Nigeria is an importing economy. We import most of what we use in this economy. But the fact that we seek for forgiveness of debt does not say that we are having problem in our economy. Debt for debt is also a mode of repayment. Debt cancellation can come from the lender. If it cancels, the implication is that we have paid. But let me just remind you this. There won't be more development if we don't have external assistance, grants, to invest in the manufacturing aspect of the economy. It is when we export that economy will be relevant to the world. But where we continue to be an importing country, it is not going to be to the best of our knowledge. But the fact is, the fact that we have that debt does not say that we cannot go out of it. In a simple scenario, just an organization is trying to develop, increase its productivity, but it cannot do it alone. It needs some money. Let me take you to some other area. Look at Sukuk debt. Look at the Paris Club debt. We use them on road constructions, but we look at it as something that is non-productive because it's not generating additional income. But it is also a productive. If the roads are not good, influx of investment will not come to this country. We won't be able to ship or move product from rural areas to urban area. And that is why we refer to a non-productive debt for construction of roads as a productive, because it's going to have effect on the economy. Let me say this. Under a normal situation, and we feel that the debt is rising, the entire world is looking at us. Japan is number 2 in the world, highest ranking, highest debt in the world. Number 2. As of 2021, it was Venezuela. But these are the countries we are running to. Look at Canada, one of the 20 countries in the world with highest public debt. That is where our countries are, our children are running to. If you look at all this, Zambia is one of them. But their economy is getting better. It is a matter of time. But How long? Yes. It depends on the governance we're talking about. Governance we're talking about is a matter of right leadership. To put this public debt in a very good area of economy.
Make us understand, what's the difference? You've mentioned Japan, Canada, even the United States,
yes,
and so on. What makes their debts that is so high different from the debts that we have, if we have to place them side by side?
Yes.
And yet there's productivity. So to
yes. Majority of our debt in Nigeria economy is for consumption. We use it for consumption, not productivity, not investments. And that is what IMF said. There are conditionalities to IMF loans. If you can devalue your currency, anybody that heard the word devaluation of currency, we feel that, yes, we want to depreciate our currency. No. Devaluation of currency is all about making exportation of goods and services in your economy to be cheaper and making importation of that goods and services to be more costly into that economy. So that when you bring in the loan, you use it for productivity. for manufacturing, and you can now export your goods. The more you export goods from your country, the better for that country. But the more you import, it is not the best for that country. So most of the debt that we use most of the time is for consumption. We want to assist Boko Haram. We want to control insurgency.
Assist?
No, I mean assist I'm talking about is that to control insurgency, to assist the military in terms of ammunition.
The fight against terrorism.
To control the terrorism. But these,
or even pay salaries.
Or pay salaries of soldiers and even the consultants to that maintenance in an economy. All this we refer to them as consumption. And when you use the money for consumption in an economy, then it's not yielding for you. And that is why I said in good governance that there is no way an economy will be without public debt. There is no way. We will not grow. But the fact in Nigeria and African is that we use majority of this debt that we're talking about, we use it for consumption. We use it for something that is not going to generate more. So, on a nutshell, sincerely, we need to let people know that debt that we refer to as public, debt comprises of that of federal government and in collaboration with that of states. If you look at it, 80% of the total public debt in the hand of the federal government, not in the hand of the state. Less than 20% we are talking about in the hand of the states. You said it here. Lagos is 807. Ogun, Delta followed Lagos with 300 and something billion. Ogun is third, over 200 and something billion.
Yeah.
And if we can see what this money is used for, and it can create employment, it can create an image of the economy of Nigeria to be better in the world, it can create investments, then we can see for it that in the long run, it pays. I will borrow somebody's word. The money we borrow today, we are going to pay tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But if we use it judiciously today, the people that are going to pay it tomorrow, we praise that government that borrowed the money, that we know what we are paying for, because we can see the facilities, we can see the infrastructures, we can see our children going to university with high standard of education. We can see people going without fear or favor, without any mind of menace. Then they will be very free to repay the debt. Sorry, moderator, if you look at the interest that we pay on these debts, it is alarming. It is alarming if you look at here. We're talking about over, let me just give you a very good figure here so that you can understand.
All right.
It is going to be over 200 and something billion on the trillions that we are talking about. Then you talk about something, we are looking at deficits, we are looking at surplus. Debt is not surplus, but deficit financing can be done through debts.